bit of a problem for me when people call this service Good Friday. Now, there is something that is good about it, but it takes a while for us to get there. So I hope that during this service, we would allow ourselves to go through all of the steps, all of the moments in the journey, most of them quite uncomfortable. You will notice that there are crosses close to you. You are welcome to take them in your hand if they help you during the service. You're also welcome to give them back because they belong to the church. We also want to mention that Abigail Lumsden, who was going to be playing the violin in this service, her husband passed away last night. And we're very grateful to have Dave Efros with us. His name is not in the bulletin, but his presence will be felt throughout the whole service. And when I asked Dave, what would you like to play for a service of this nature after talking about the service with him, he said, sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Tonight, we talk about crucifixion. I'm sorry, I meant to say crucifixions. The many ways we experience pain. And the many ways that we inflict pain. Tonight, we accompany and we learn from Jesus.
Recording in progress.
They took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests and elders and scribes were assembled. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. For many gave false testimony against him, and their testimony did not agree. Some stood up and gave false testimony against him, saying, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another one, not made with hands.'" But even on this point, their testimony did not agree. Then the high priest stood up before them and asked Jesus, "Have you no answer? What is it that they testify against you?" But Jesus was silent and did not answer. Again, the high priest asked Jesus, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus said, "I am. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "Why do you still need witness? Have you heard this blasphemy? What is your decision?" All of them condemned him as deserving death. Some began to spit on him, to blindfold him, and to strike him, saying to him, "Prophesy." The guards also took him and beat him. There is really no such thing as the voiceless. There are only the deliberately silenced or the preferably unheard.
From an ancient Jewish legislative body to our time, there have been different systems set up that govern our lives. In the US, the highest level of systemic organization is the 3 separate but equal branches of government: the executive, legislative, and judicial. Their roles are complex, yet it is not an oversimplification to attribute to their powers the ability to legitimize prejudice, bigotry, fear, and yes, love. Basically, they are empowered to determine what is legal at federal levels and to constrain, to some extent, state and municipal levels. This means that any freedom we enjoy is free only so far as the 3 branches allow. We can only respond or conform. The Presidential Advisory Cabinet is a systemic structure. The offices of the Cabinet include the Vice President and the Attorney General and secretaries. Now, listen carefully as I read slowly the following lists of secretaries. I hope to give you time to think about whether and how the secretary's area affects your life. There are secretaries of state, the Treasury, Defense, Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, Energy, Education, Veterans Affairs, and Homeland Security. Do you see that the proximity of the system is close to your life? Systems do not operate indifferently to social categories, especially gender, race, ethnicity, class, immigration status, education, and wealth? Do you want to get pregnant? Are you in a same-gender loving relationship? Does your child's school have the resources needed for a really good education? Will the condition of your heart be rightly diagnosed? Our freedom of choice and access to care depends on our state of our residence or even municipality. The system strategically and systemically pulls us in, integrates us, and imprints its values upon us in ways that make us complicit, even against our will. But systems are run by human beings. Elected officials and their appointees bring their lives, competences, bigotries, and limitations to inform the system. Voting at any level implies that we vote for all the people our elected leaders will elevate to executive positions. And they are just like us, and we vote for their values as well as ours. We too leave a mark on the system. Like us, those leaders are rarely all or nothing. They might want rights for everybody, but not for people unjustly caught in the prison system. They might have black friends, but think that BLM goes too far. They might want good care for mentally ill persons, but fail to see the relationship between homelessness and mental illness. So their judgments about one may have no relation to their judgments about the other, just like us, and we vote for them. Systems can seem so impersonal and far away. I'm saying that they are right here in the room within each of us. When we talk about systemic oppression, crucifixion, we must see our own relationship and complicity in it. But here's something else to think about. The Sanhedrin that confronted Jesus was roughly equivalent in structure to the US system, but it functioned within the Roman imperial system that is a template for some aspects of the US systemic approach to the dispensation of privileges and the creation of disprivilege. Roman citizenship had classes with different allowances. Plebeians were the working class who paid taxes. Patricians were part of the privileged groups, with the patricians ranking right below the emperor. Patricians were wealthy landowners to whom the plebs paid taxes. Patricians did little work, and their most significant responsibilities were to ensure the perpetuation of family wealth and the suppression of the plebs. Moving on quickly, I'm flagging that the patrician-informed system is where we are. We are now framed by patrician values, not democratic ideals. I want to remain in the human aspect of our system, so I'll continue to think with the patricians. There is a new order, a new ideology that frames our system. It's one that is thoroughly patrician in its orientation. In the patrician order, anyone might be a citizen, but the only citizens with absolute unassailable rights are the ones who belong to the patrician order. Gender, race, immigration status, sexuality are valued only in their relationship to the class that has capital ownership and top-tier proprietorial rights. These thoughts I put to us must now be among our guiding lights, because the systemic game has changed and the system is thoroughly hostile to the plebs. Who then shall the heroes of our Christian collective be? I commend to us for our thinking characters such as Deborah and Judith, leaders of the charge, Mary and Elizabeth, the womb warriors, John, the baptizing critical visionary, Mary Magdalene, the unorthodox beautician, Nicodemus, the weary patrician of a sort, the boundary-crushing Canaanite Syrophoenician woman, the young working-class woman who exposed and upstaged Peter and made him betray Jesus, and Jesus, the upstart, who seemed genetically incapable of comporting with the regnant system without any urge to maintaining orthodoxy. May our stories and histories meld in thorough resistance with theirs to the Roman Empire and its Sanhedric co-conspirators. May the system we build with our heroes be better, for the systemic crucifixion is now. Amen.
Now Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard. A female servant came to Peter and said, "You also were with Jesus the Galilean." But Peter denied it before all of them, saying, "I do not know what you are talking about." When Peter went out to the porch, another female servant saw him, and she said to the bystanders, "This man was with Jesus the Nazarene." Again, Peter denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." After a little while, the bystanders came up and said to Peter, "Certainly you are also one of them, for your accent betrays you." Then he began to curse, and he swore an oath, "I do not know the man." At that moment, the cock crowed. Then Peter remembered what Jesus had said. Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times. And he went out and wept bitterly. The thorn from the bush one has planted, nourished, and pruned, pricks more deeply and draws more blood.
Before I see someone as a problem, may I see them as a human being. This is from a book of reflections I've shared a little bit about in years past and wrote a little reflection on it this year. It has images and brief reflections for the 40 days of Lent. And this one struck me particularly for a reason that's not particularly easy to admit, that as a pastor, as someone in a helping profession, someone whose calling is in large part to be with and work with and care for people, sometimes I do jump right to seeing people as a problem. And I think connected to that is that I am ready to crucify people fairly easily. And when I say that, I mean that it's not unheard of, to maybe put it mildly, it's not unheard of for me to get pretty bent out of shape sometimes, pretty quickly, for a whole spectrum of reasons, some a little bit maybe more innocuous than others. I think of the situation that happened to me today that I'm sure I have ranted about before, of someone stopping in the middle, this time it was on a subway platform, but in the middle of a sidewalk or somewhere where there is a flow of traffic and just stopping for no apparent reason. Running from that kind of maybe silly thing to examples I've thought of in relationships and friendships that really kind of get me going when people come to me with a problem for advice, for input, and I spend a lot of time with them, reflecting with them, and then they go and do the same exact thing that they were doing, and then they come back to me and they're upset and they're asking for advice and reflection, and they keep going, and the cycle perpetuates itself. And then, of course, there's a whole variety of things within that spectrum. These examples and a whole host of others, for me, venture into that territory of villainizing people, getting pretty easily annoyed, crucifying people. So this reflection about seeing people as humans before seeing them as problems invites me to consider, before I do that, before I see someone as a problem, before I'm ready to crucify them, may I see them in their humanity. May that time between whatever the stimulus is that's kind of triggering me into that agitation, may that time between that stimulation and my upset response continue to expand, so that hopefully it expands so much and I can pause long enough that I move on completely from that knee-jerk reaction of seeing someone as a problem, of my own relational and interpersonal crucifixions. And there's another piece to this, right? Because it's not just about the other person. It's not just about whatever their behavior is. You know what therapy and psychology and probably our own lived experience tells us about the way we treat others, that in many ways it's not just, but it can be in some of its components an externalization of the ways we treat ourselves, what we think and believe about ourselves. So what are our own places of those knee-jerk reactions? Where might that actually be reflective of a place we dislike ourselves or see ourselves as the problem, where we practice crucifixion inwardly on ourselves? And instead, can we start seeing, experiencing, and appreciating our own humanity so that then we can, from that inner place, begin to extend that out toward others? So as we consider this, as we consider these crucifixions and the many ways they manifest in our lives, may we release practices that harm ourselves and others so that new life may arise.
Have you died before? Have you died before? Have you died before too? Was there a time when Jesus on the cross was you?
Have you died before? Have you died before? Have you died before too? Was there a time when Jesus on the cross was you?
Hear the word of God, O people of Israel. For God has an indictment against the inhabitants of the land. There is no faithfulness or loyalty and no knowledge of God in the land. Swearing, lying, and murder, and stealing, and adultery break out. Bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and all who live in it languish together with the wild animals, and even the birds of the air, even the fish of the sea are perishing. I want you to act as you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is.
It is painful to remember what Jesus endured and the terrible injustice that was perpetrated by the religious authorities and the empire that they served. And it is no surprise then that the unjust beating and execution of Jesus resonates so deeply with people in the US and across the world who have themselves endured so much violence, war, and suffering. The cross itself has become a powerful symbol of defiance for many who experience oppression, exploitation, marginalization, and hatred of the other. Tonight we remember that Jesus was crucified for practicing love, promoting peace, and working for the flourishing of all life. Let's first remember what preceded the crucifixion. Jesus was arrested by the high priests and labeled with many false charges. However, it seems clear that his real crime in their eyes was that he was already undermining the Jewish people's belief in their authority and was a danger to their arrangement with the Roman overlords. And so even though they had no credible witnesses, they convicted Jesus and turned him over to the Romans for execution. According to the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, declared Jesus innocent of all of these charges and offered to free him. But the crowd, stirred up by the powerful elite of Judea, cried out, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" It reminds me so much of the current case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia, falsely charged with being a dangerous gang member and deported to a brutal prison in El Salvador. And while a federal judge calls for his immediate return to the U.S., the Christian nationalists, Fox evangelicals, and the Make America Great crowd shout the equivalent of "Crucify him." Holy Friday invites us to connect the unjust suffering and execution of Jesus with the unjust suffering and violence and death that continue across the globe. And from this vantage point, the cross represents not a past event, but a very present reality experienced by so many of our siblings, neighbors, and fellow creatures, including many of us in the Church of the Village. And we are witnesses to all of that. So when we witness the bodies and spirits of transgender and gender expansive siblings demeaned, endangered, and erased, when appropriate health care is denied, when these beloved ones are expelled from families, schools, organizations, churches, then the love of God and the Spirit of Jesus are crucified again. When we witness Gaza and the West Bank bombed and bulldozed, when more and more land is stolen over decades, when the cries of children and parents echo across bombed out landscapes and camps for hundreds of thousands displaced from their homes without adequate food or clean water, then Jesus is crucified again. When we witness Mohsen Madawi, a legal U.S. immigrant who has spent his whole adult life building bridges between Palestinians and Israelis, working for peace, arrested by ICE and threatened with deportation, accused of no crime, then love is hanging on the cross again. When we witness the earth itself and all creatures on it suffering as seas rise and get warmer, as forests and towns burn, as birds and bees and butterflies die in unimaginable numbers, water is polluted, and former agricultural land becomes desert. When our mothering planet groans under the weight of human greed, overpopulation, and overuse of resources, then our God of love cries out in pain as every living creature and every ecological system is in danger of being crucified in the pursuit of wealth and privilege. And yet, love cannot be killed. Love always rises again because love is the most fundamental power and creative source in the universe. And so God beckons us to see these crucifixions and not look away, to mourn but not despair, because we are not merely witnesses, we are actors, advocates, lovers, peacemakers, nurturers, gardeners, and friends of the earth. God calls us to follow Jesus in practicing extravagant love in the face of all the powers that try to destroy and to kill it. And God is with us, helping us to find the courage and strength to speak the truth and to stand with and for all who suffer modern-day crucifixions around the world.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to a tree? Were you there when they nailed him to a tree? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home.
Here is your son. Here is your mother. Witnessing the crucifixion of others, it's never simple. I can confess that I have three reactions that come to me. The first one, and by far the most common one, I just want to solve the problem. I just want to do something. Sometimes I even commit the horrible sin of minimizing the crucifixion of others. And it's not that bad. Others have it worse. Don't worry. I have friends who have taught me the hard way to not do that. And then there's another one which also happens with me, which is when, as Pastor Jeff said, I turn away from the crucifixion. There they were, the three Marys, including the mother of one of these three persons who were being crucified. By the way, isn't it interesting that we focus so much on the crucifixion of Jesus? There were two other persons there also being crucified. I get it. Sometimes the news is so bad and I need to do a bit of self-preservation, so I just turn it off. But then I have to turn it back on and figure out how to be present. Figure out how to be mother, how to be son or daughter. Here is your mother. Here is your son. I propose to you that the best that we can always do is simply be present, kind of be there. I've been surprised in my life when in moments of deep frustration, when I feel I cannot help somebody that I love, they tell me later, it meant so much just that you were there. Or just to know that I could call you. That meant so much to me. Now the call tonight, and always, is to go from the personal to the communal. As this service was being shaped, there is one suffering, one crucifixion that is very, very heavy on me because of the ways that it destroyed the life of somebody that I love. And that's the crucifixion of debt. That silent crucifixion of people who are paying 20-25% interest on loans that they will never be able to pay. So, this is the moment when we are going to be a bit silent for a while, and you're invited to go to the cross where others are being crucified. Perhaps forget about your own crucifixion for a moment and see what is the call of the Spirit. It may be a friend, it may be a whole nation, you may be in prayer for the whole earth. And to ask the question, what am I asked to do right now? How can I be mother, son, daughter? Is this the moment to just stand and be there? Is this the moment to do something about it? Let us be in silent reflection.
troubled, Lord, walk with me. When I'm troubled, Lord, walk with me. When my head is bowed in sorrow, Lord, I want Jesus to walk with me.
From that time on, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and undergo great suffering at the hands of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. After Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, God forbid it, Lord. This must never happen to you. But Jesus turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are setting your mind not on the divine things, but on human things. Fear not the pain.
For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father.
We now enter into a time of learning from Jesus on how to face pain, ours and that of others. And the first lesson is, well, face it. There it is. Pretending it's not there is not helpful without pain or the pain of others. Trying to make it redemptive and good, also not very helpful. There's a song that has blessed Church of the Village: fear not the pain, let its weight fall back into the earth. For heavy are the mountains, heavy are the seas. It's a powerful poetic imagery. Let it bless you now as we together choose to follow Jesus in facing the pain. there is something in choosing to face what's already there, choosing to face what's already there, that gives us back a measure of agency. I think one of the worst things that happen or that can happen when we're facing suffering is that sense that we have no agency, there's nothing that we can do. And as we heard in this scriptural text, particularly this one that's very strange where Jesus said, nobody takes my life, I give it. Now, you can read that in many ways. But I have learned to do that when faced with something that I cannot avoid. Choose it. Choose it. And walk with it. So as strange as it seems, I invite you to sing Grief, Take a Walk with Me. It's easier to sing Joy, Take a Walk with Me. Love, Take a Walk with Me. But for today, on this Holy Friday, Grief, Take a Walk.
Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." Jesus took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be grieved and agitated. Then Jesus said to them, "My soul is deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and stay awake with me." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. And yet, not what I want, but what you want."
Yesterday, right here at Church of the Village, inside and online, we had an amazing experience. Thank you, Kelsey Evans, for coordinating that experience for all of us. I said to Kelsey, the measure of a good service is how long people stay afterwards. And I left like a half hour after the service was done, and people were still here. Because we need each other. Because we need each other. And in that text, yesterday's text, Jesus says, "How much have I longed, desired, craved, wanted to celebrate this meal with you." Jesus knows what's coming and decides that the best thing that he can do is get some company. Now, unfortunately, the company falls asleep in the story later on. So, having said that, the instinct of looking for company, of not going through it alone, it's powerful. It's healing. I invite you to think just for a moment, what are the things that you may be going through by yourself, where you could actually ask for help, for companionship, even if they fall asleep eventually, but they're still there, they're still there, they're still there. Friends, take a walk with me. 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 Oh, Spirit, guide my feet. Friends, take a walk with me. Friends, take a walk with me. Friends, take a walk with me. Oh, Spirit, guide my
A week later, his disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them. Although the doors were shut, Jesus came in and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe." Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to Thomas, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe."
You may be surprised to find this text read on a Good Friday. And yet, perhaps the greatest lesson around suffering that I have ever received, I received it from 12 Steps groups, from the wisdom of the 12 Steps. It's a slogan, it's a phrase that is used. These two
Shall pass.
These two.
Shall pass.
Now think about whatever it is that you think will never pass and say, these two shall pass. Think about one more thing and let's say it again. These two shall pass. Long time ago, someone taught me that when Jesus quoted the Psalms in saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? He was quoting the whole Psalm because he knew the whole thing. Go home and check it out. There's more to the Psalm. There is something about the Christian faith that calls us to live, even on Holy Friday, understanding that this is not the end. That this is not the end. That we now go into Saturday, into the waiting, and that Easter is coming. It will come. Now, how and when it comes, Now, something I can say for sure is that when it comes, it will never come as the solution of all things. After all, the wounds are still there, what they call the stigmata, the signs of where the nails and where the sword had wounded Jesus. It's taken me a while to let go of a spirituality that believes in things being cured and to receive gratefully, although I have to say sometimes reluctantly, a spirituality that offers me healing where the wounds are still there. Now I've had to learn to not use those wounds as places of re-injury. I see them, I remember the pain. But rather as places of gratitude, perhaps even. And also as places of security and knowledge of my own resilience. I have this wound. I survived that. Probably I can do this one too. Think about that in terms of society also. When I try to despair about the news, I start reading history right away. And I go like, these two, oh come on, help me out. These two, because it has in the past, it has. And it will. Now, how and when? That's hard to know. But one thing that we do know that it will pass and the wounds will be there and will need to be taken care of. So we close this service singing When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. And I invite you to think of all of the crucifixions. Yes, the crucifixion of Jesus, and also the crucifixion of those who were crucified alongside, and those who are crucified every day by systems that oppress them. Survey those crosses too. Survey also the crucifixions of your own life. Survey the crucifixions that maybe you and I are also imposing on others, and survey the crucifixions that we're inflicting upon the earth everything that has come up in this service. Take a moment and look at it, survey it, and see what comes.
Friends, if you are able, for as long as you like, we invite you to stay and spend some time in contemplation, meditation, prayer, wherever you are, or if you choose, you can come forward to the main cross.